Thou hast unstopped my ears to the correction of those who reprove with justice. Thou hast saved me from the congregation of iniquity and from the assembly of violence. Thou hast brought me into the council of, and hast purified me of sin. And I know there is hope for those who turn from transgression, and for those who abandon sin, and to walk without wickedness in the way of thy heart. I am consoled for the roaring of the peoples, and for the tumult of kingdoms when they assemble. For in a little while I know, thou wilt raise up survivors among thy people, and a remnant within your inheritance. Thou wilt purify and cleanse them of their sin, for all their deeds are in thy truth. Thou wilt judge them in thy great loving kindness, and in the multitude of thy mercies, and in the abundance of thy pardon, teaching them according to thy word. And thou wilt establish them in thy counsel according to the uprightness of thy truth. Thou wilt do these things for thy glory and for your own sake, to magnify the law and the truth, and to enlighten the members of thy council in the midst of the sons of men, that they may recount thy marvels for everlasting generations, and meditate unceasingly upon thy mighty deeds. All the nations shall acknowledge thy truth, and all the peoples thy glory. For thou wilt bring thy glorious salvation to all the men of thy council, to those who share a common lot with the angels of the face. And among them shall be no mediator to invoke thee, and no messenger to make reply. For they shall reply according to thy glorious word, and shall be thy princes in the company of the angels. They shall send out a bud forever like a flower of the fields, and shall cause a shoot to grow into the boughs of an everlasting planting. It shall cover the whole earth with its shadow, and its crown shall reach to the clouds. Its roots shall go down to the abyss, and all the rivers of Eden shall water its branches. A source of light shall become an eternal, ever-flowing fountain, and in its bright flames all the sons of iniquity shall be consumed. It shall be a fire to devour all sinful men in utter destruction. They who bore the yoke of my testimony have been led astray by teachers of lies, and have rebelled against the service of righteousness. Whereas thou, O my God, didst command them to mend their ways by walking in the way of holiness, where no man goes who is uncircumcised or unclean or violent. They have staggered aside from the way of thy heart, and languish in great wretchedness. A counsel of Satan is in their heart, and in accordance with their wicked design they wallow in sin. I am as a sailor in a ship amid furious seas. Their waves and all their billows roar against me. There is no calm in the whirlwind that I may restore my soul, no path that I may straighten my way on the face of the waters. The deeps resound to my groaning, and my soul has journeyed to the gates of death. But I shall be as one who enters a fortified city, as one who seeks refuge behind a high wall until deliverance comes. I will lean on thy truth, O my God. For thou wilt set the foundation on rock, and the framework by the measuring cord of justice, and the tried stones thou wilt lay by the plumb line of truth, to build a mighty wall which shall not sway, and no man entering there shall stagger. For no enemy shall ever invade it, since its doors shall be doors of protection, through which no man shall pass. And its bars shall be firm, and no man shall break them. No rabble shall enter in with their weapons of war, until all the arrows of the war of wickedness have come to an end. And then at the time of judgment, the sword of God shall hasten, and all the sons of his truth shall awake to overthrow wickedness. All the sons of iniquity shall be no more. The hero shall bend his bow, the fortress shall open on to endless space, and the everlasting gates shall send out weapons of war. They shall be mighty from end to end of the earth, and there shall be no escape for the guilty of heart in their battle. They shall be utterly trampled down without any remnant. There shall be no hope in the greatness of their might, no refuge for the mighty warriors, for the battle shall be to the Most High God. Hoist a banner, O you who lie in the dust, O bodies gnawed by worms, raise up an ensign for the destruction of wickedness. The sinful shall be destroyed in the battles against the ungodly. The scourging flood, when it advances, shall not invade the stronghold. As for me, I am dumb. My arm is torn from its shoulder, and my foot has sunk into the mire. My eyes are closed by the spectacle of evil, and my ears by the crying of blood. My heart is dismayed by the mischievous design, for Satan is manifest in their evil inclination. All the foundations of my edifice totter, and my bones are pulled out of joint. My bowels heave like a ship in a violent tempest, and my heart is utterly distressed. A whirlwind engulfs me because of the mischief of their sin. I thank thee, O Lord, for thou hast upheld me by thy strength. Thou hast shed thy Holy Spirit upon me that I may not stumble. Thou hast strengthened me before the battles of wickedness, and during all their disasters thou hast not permitted that fear should cause me to desert thy covenant. Thou hast made me like a strong tower, a high wall, and hast established my edifice upon rock. Eternal foundations serve for my ground, and all my ramparts are a tried wall which shall not sway. Thou hast placed me, O my God, among the branches of the council of holiness. Thou hast established my mouth in thy covenant, whereas the spirit of disaster is without a mouth, and all the sons of iniquity without a reply. For the lying lips shall be dumb. For thou wilt condemn in judgment all those who assail me, distinguishing through me between the just and the wicked. For thou knowest the whole intent of a creature, thou discern every reply. And thou hast established my heart on thy teaching and truth, directing my steps into the paths of righteousness, that I may walk before thee in the land of the living, into paths of glory and infinite peace, which shall never end. For thou knowest the inclination of thy servant, that I have not relied upon the works of my hands to raise up my heart, nor have I sought refuge in my own strength. I have no fleshly refuge, and thy servant has no righteous deeds to deliver him from the pit of no forgiveness. But I lean on the abundance of thy mercies and hope for the greatness of thy grace, that thou wilt bring salvation to flower and the branch to growth, providing refuge in thy strength and raising up my heart. In thy righteousness thou hast appointed me for thy covenant, and I have clung to thy truth and gone forward in thy ways. Thou hast made me a father to the sons of grace, and as a foster father to men of marvel. They have opened their mouths like little babes, like a child playing in the lap of its nurse. Thou hast lifted my horn above those who insult me, and those who attack me sway like the boughs of a tree. My enemies are like chaff before the wind, and my dominion is over the sons of iniquity. For thou hast succored my soul, O my God, and hast lifted my horn on high. And I shall shine in a sevenfold light in the council appointed by thee for thy glory. For thou art an everlasting heavenly light to me, and wilt establish my feet upon level ground forever. Thou hast placed me beside a fountain of streams in an arid land, and close to a spring of waters in a dry land, and beside a watered garden in a wilderness. For thou didst set a plantation of cypress, pine, and cedar for thy glory, trees of life beside a mysterious fountain hidden among the trees by the water, and they put out a shoot of the everlasting planting. But before they did so, they took root and sent out their roots to the watercourse, that its stem might be open to the living waters and be one with the everlasting spring. And all the beasts of the forest fed on its leafy boughs. Its stem was trodden by all who passed on the way, and its branches by all the birds. And all the trees by the water rose above it, for they grew in their planting. But they sent out no root to the watercourse. And the bud of the shoot of holiness for the planting of truth was hidden and was not esteemed, and being unperceived, its mystery was sealed. Thou didst hedge in its fruit, O God, with the mystery of mighty heroes, and of spirits of holiness, and of the whirling flame of fire. No man shall approach the wellspring of life, or drink the waters of holiness with the everlasting trees, or bear fruit with the planting of heaven, who seeing has not discerned, and considering has not believed in the fountain of life, who has turned his hand against the everlasting bud. And I was despised by tumultuous rivers, for they cast up their slime upon me. But thou, O my God, hast put into my mouth as it were rain for all those who thirst, and a fount of living waters which shall not fail. When they are opened, they shall not run dry. They shall be a torrent overflowing its banks, and like the bottomless seas. They shall suddenly gush forth which were hidden in secret, and shall be like the waters of the flood to every tree, both the green and the barren. To every beast and bird they shall be an abyss. The tree shall sink like lead in the mighty waters. Fire shall burn among them, and they shall be dried up. But the fruitful planting by the everlasting spring shall be an Eden of glory, bearing fruits of life. By my hand thou hast opened for them a wellspring and ditches, that all their channels may be laid out according to a certain measuring cord, and the planting of their trees according to the plumb line of the sun, that their boughs may become a beautiful branch of glory. When I lift my hand to dig its ditches, its roots shall run deep into hardest rock, and its stem in the earth. In the season of heat it shall keep its strength. But if I take away my hand, it shall be like a thistle in the wilderness. Its stem shall be like nettles in a salty land, and thistles and thorns shall grow from its ditches, and brambles and briars. Its border trees shall be like the wild grapevine, whose foliage withers before the heat, and its stem shall not be open to the spring. Behold, I am carried away with the sick. I am acquainted with scourges. I am forsaken in my sorrow, and without any strength. For my sore breaks out in bitter pains, and in incurable sickness impossible to stay. My heart laments within me as in those who go down to hell. My spirit is imprisoned with the dead, for my life has reached the pit. My soul languishes within me day and night without rest. My wound breaks out like burning fire shut up in my bones, whose flames devour me for days on end, diminishing my strength for times on end, and destroying my flesh for seasons on end. The pains fly out towards me, and my soul within me languishes even to death. My strength has gone from my body, and my heart runs out like water. My flesh is dissolved like wax, and the strength of my loins is turned to fear. My arm is torn from its socket, and I can lift my hand no more. My foot is held by fetters, and my knees slide like water. I can no longer walk. I cannot step forward lightly, for my legs and arms are bound by shackles which cause me to stumble. The tongue has gone back, which thou didst make marvelously mighty within my mouth. It can no longer give voice. I have no word for my disciples to revive the spirit of those who stumble, and to speak words of support to the weary. My circumcised lips are dumb. And nothing exists except by thy will. None can consider thy deep secrets or contemplate thy mysteries. What then is man that is earth, that is shaped from clay and returns to the dust, that thou should give him to understand such marvels, and make known to him the counsel of thy truth? Clay and dust that I am, what can I devise unless thou wish it, and what contrive unless thou desire it? What strength shall I have unless thou keep me upright? And how shall I understand unless by the Spirit which thou hast shaped for me? What can I say unless thou open my mouth, and how can I answer unless thou enlighten me? Behold, thou art Prince of gods and King of majesties, Lord of all spirits, and ruler of all creatures. Nothing is done without thee, and nothing is known without thy will. Beside thee there is nothing, and nothing can compare with thee in strength. In the presence of thy glory there is nothing, and thy might is without price. Who among thy great and marvelous creatures can stand in the presence of thy glory? How then can he who returns to his dust? For thy glory's sake alone hast thou made all these things. Blessed art thou, O Lord, God of mercy and abundant grace, for thou hast made known thy wisdom to me, that I should recount thy marvelous deeds, keeping silence neither by day nor by night. For I have trusted in thy grace. In thy great goodness, and in the multitude of thy mercies, for I have leaned on thy truth. And unless thou rebuke, there is no stumbling. Unless thou foreknow it, there is no scourge. Nothing is done without thy will. I will cling to thy ways according to my knowledge of thy truth. Contemplating thy glory, I will recount thy wonderful works, and understanding thy goodness, I will lean on the multitude of thy mercies and hope for thy forgiveness. For thou thyself hast shaped my spirit and established me according to thy will, and thou hast not placed my support in gain, nor does my heart delight in riches. Thou hast given me no fleshly refuge. The might of warriors rests on abundant delights, and on plenty of corn and wine and oil. They pride themselves in possessions and wealth. But the righteous is like a green tree beside streams of water, bringing forth leaves and multiplying its branches. For thou hast chosen them from among the children of men, that they may all grow fat from the land. Thou wilt give to the children of thy truth unending joy and everlasting gladness, and according to the measure of their knowledge, so shall they be honored one more than another. And likewise for the Son of Man, thou wilt increase his portion in the knowledge of thy truth, and according to the measure of his knowledge, so shall he be honored. For the soul of thy servant has loathed riches and gain, and he has not desired exquisite delights. My heart rejoices in thy covenant, and thy truth delights my soul. I shall flower like the lily, and my heart shall be open to the everlasting fountain. My support shall be in the might from on high, and withers like a flower before the heat. My heart is stricken with terror, and my loins with trembling. My groaning goes down to the abyss, and is shut up in the chambers of hell. I am greatly afraid when I hear of thy judgment of the mighty heroes, and of thy trial of the host of thy holy ones. I thank thee, my God, for thou hast dealt wondrously to dust, and mightily towards a creature of clay. I thank thee, I thank thee. What am I, that thou should teach me the counsel of thy truth, and give me understanding of thy marvelous works? That thou should lay hymns of thanksgiving within my mouth, and praise upon my tongue, and that of my circumcised lips thou should make a seat of rejoicing? I will sing thy mercies, and on thy might I will meditate all day long. I will bless thy name evermore. I will declare thy glory in the midst of the sons of men, and my soul shall delight in thy great goodness. I know that thy word is truth, and that righteousness is in thy hand, that all knowledge is in thy purpose, and that all power is in thy might, and that every glory is yours. In thy wrath are all chastisements, but in thy goodness is much forgiveness, and thy mercy is towards the sons of thy goodwill. For thou hast made known to them the counsel of thy truth, and hast taught them thy marvelous mysteries. For the sake of thy glory, thou hast purified man of sin, that he may be made holy for thee, with no abominable uncleanness and no guilty wickedness, that he may be one with the children of thy truth, and partake of the lot of thy holy ones. That bodies gnawed by worms may be raised from the dust to the counsel of thy truth, and that the perverse spirit may be lifted to the understanding which comes from thee, that he may stand before thee with the everlasting host, and with thy spirits of holiness, to be renewed together with all the living, and to rejoice together with them that know